I'm 27 years old, and for most of my life, I've felt like I was watching someone else's family from the outside. I grew up in a house full of people, but always alone. I had two stepsisters who I loved fiercely, who I considered my sisters in every way that mattered, but who never quite saw me the same way. This is the story of how I became part of a family that wasn't really mine, how I lost them, and how one of them called me something that made me cry. Before we dive in, have you ever felt like you belonged somewhere but were never quite sure if others saw it that way? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories about complicated families, unexpected bonds, and being seen, please subscribe so you don't miss our next one. Now let me tell you about Vanessa, the girl who bullied me. My earliest clear memory is from when I was 5 years old, standing in the kindergarten playground at Moonrise Elementary while Vanessa Payton pushed me off the swing. "That's my swing," she said. She was 7, 2 years older, and to 5-year-old me, she seemed enormous, powerful, scary. I hit the ground hard, scraped my knee, started crying. The playground monitor came over, but Vanessa was already walking away, innocent-faced, like nothing had happened. That was the first time, but not the last. For the entire school year, Vanessa made my life miserable. She'd accidentally knock my lunch tray over in the cafeteria. She'd tell the other kids not to play with me because my clothes were weird. They were secondhand from Goodwill, because that's all my mom could afford. She'd laugh when I got answers wrong in class. I didn't understand why she hated me. I'd never done anything to her. But Vanessa Payton, second grader, had decided I was her target, and that was that. My mom, Diane Delves, was a single parent working 2 jobs, waitressing during the day, cleaning offices at night. We lived in a cramped 1-bedroom apartment. I slept on the couch. We ate a lot of ramen. Mom was exhausted all the time, stressed about money, stressed about everything. But she loved me. She'd come home late and still read me stories before I fell asleep. She'd save up to buy me small treats, a coloring book, a candy bar. She tried. I didn't tell her about Vanessa. What could she do? Everything changed in the spring of my kindergarten year. I came home from school one day to find Mom sitting on the couch, crying. Not sad crying, happy crying. "Katie, baby, something wonderful happened." She told me she'd met someone, a man, someone kind, someone who had a good job, someone who could help us. His name was Tom Payton. Even at 5, I understood what this meant. It meant maybe we wouldn't have to eat ramen every night. Maybe Mom wouldn't have to work 2 jobs. Maybe we could have a real apartment. "He has 2 daughters," Mom said carefully. "Around your age. You'll get to meet them soon. Won't that be nice? You'll have sisters." Sisters. The word sounded magical. I didn't connect the name, Payton, to Vanessa. Not until the day Mom took me to Tom's house for dinner and I walked in to see Vanessa sitting at the kitchen table, staring at me with pure hatred. I learned the whole story much later, pieced together from overheard conversations and things people said without realizing I was listening. Tom Payton had been married to Patricia Payton. They had 2 daughters, Cynthia, 9, and Vanessa, 7. The marriage had been rocky for years. Patricia was unhappy. Tom worked long hours as an accountant. They fought constantly. Then Tom met my mom at the diner where she waitressed. They started talking. Then they started meeting for coffee. Then it became more. Patricia found out. She was devastated, furious. The divorce was ugly. And when it was finalized, Patricia moved to Arizona with her sister, leaving Tom with full custody of Cynthia and Vanessa. The girls were heartbroken. They'd lost their mother, not to death, but to distance and anger. And they blamed my mom. Blamed me, by extension. So when Tom and my mom decided to move in together, when we packed our few belongings and moved into Tom's 4-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood, Vanessa and Cynthia saw us as invaders, the people who destroyed their family. Vanessa, especially, hated me. Now I understood why. The first few months in Tom's house were awful. Vanessa wouldn't speak to me unless it was to say something cruel. Cynthia, older and more reserved, mostly ignored me. Tom tried to be kind, but he was awkward, unsure how to parent a 5-year-old who wasn't his. And Mom was so focused on keeping Tom happy, on making sure this relationship worked, that she didn't always notice how miserable I was. I had my own room for the first time in my life, but I felt lonelier than I had in our tiny apartment. At school, Vanessa's bullying intensified. Now it was personal. "Your mom's a homewrecker," she hissed at me in the hallway. "My mom left because of you." I cried in the bathroom during lunch. A lot. Then, about 4 months after we moved in, something shifted. I was on the playground when a 5th-grade boy, Eric something, started bothering me, pulling my hair, calling me names. I was trying to ignore him when suddenly Vanessa appeared. "Leave her alone," she said. Eric laughed. "Why? You gonna make me?" "Yeah, I am." Vanessa pushed him, hard. He stumbled back, surprised. She stepped between us, protective, fierce. "She's my sister. Touch her again and I'll tell the principal you steal lunch money. I've seen you." Eric left. I stared at Vanessa, shocked. "Why did you do that?" She looked uncomfortable. "Because you live in my house. That makes you family, sort of." It wasn't a warm declaration of sisterly love, but it was something. After that day, Vanessa stopped bullying me. She didn't become affectionate or close, but she defended me. At school, kids learned quickly. Mess with Katie Delves and Vanessa Payton would make your life hell. I was grateful, confused, but grateful. At home, things improved slightly. Vanessa would occasionally let me watch TV with her. Cynthia would help me with homework sometimes. Tom would ask about my day at dinner. We weren't a close family, but we were functioning. And for a kid who'd spent years in poverty with an exhausted single mom, even a distant functional family felt like a gift. For the next few years, life settled into a routine. We weren't the Brady Bunch, but we made it work. I was always aware, though, that I was different. Cynthia and Vanessa had their own bond. Years of shared history, shared loss. I was the outsider, the half-sister who wasn't really a sister. Mom and Tom got married when I was 7. I was a flower girl. Cynthia and Vanessa were bridesmaids. In the photos, we looked like a blended family. But I remember feeling like I was performing a role, not living a reality. Still, there were good moments. Birthdays, Christmas mornings, family dinners where everyone laughed. Times when I'd forget that I wasn't quite one of them and just feel like a kid with sisters. Vanessa especially surprised me. She never became warm or openly affectionate, but she was protective. She taught me how to ride a bike. She scared off boys who bothered me at school. Once, when I was 8 and got sick with the flu, she brought me soup and sat with me while I watched cartoons. "You're okay, kid," she said, "for a little sister." It was the first time she'd called me that. I held on to those words like a lifeline. When I was 10, everything fell apart. Patricia, Vanessa and Cynthia's mom, got sick. Breast cancer. It had spread by the time they found it. Vanessa and Cynthia flew to Arizona to see her. They were gone for a week. When they came back, they were different. Quiet. Devastated. Patricia died 3 months later. The funeral was in Arizona. Tom flew out with the girls. Mom and I stayed home. It wouldn't be appropriate, Mom explained. Patricia and I, there's too much history. The girls need to grieve without me there. I understood, but it stung. I wanted to be there for Vanessa and Cynthia. But I wasn't really family, not in the way that mattered. When they came back, the house felt different. Heavier. Cynthia locked herself in her room for weeks. Vanessa stopped talking to anyone. Tom walked around like a ghost, unsure how to comfort his daughters. And Mom tried, but she didn't know how to reach them. She wasn't their mother. She was the woman who'd replace their mother. I felt invisible. The house was full of people drowning in grief, and I was just there, trying to stay out of the way. Things never fully recovered after Patricia died. We continued as a family, but the distance grew. Cynthia became more withdrawn. Vanessa threw herself into school and sports. Tom worked longer hours. And then, when I was 12, Tom got sick. At first, we didn't understand what was happening. He'd forget things, appointments, conversations. He'd get confused about where he was. He'd call me Cynthia, or call Vanessa Patricia. Mom took him to doctors. They ran tests. Eventually, early onset Alzheimer's. He was only 52. It progressed quickly. Within a year, Tom was a different person. Gentler, in some ways. The sharpness and stress that had always defined him melted away. But he didn't always know who we were. I didn't fully understand what was happening. I was 12. I knew he was sick, but I thought sick people got better. I thought this was temporary. Then one evening when I was 13, I was going to my bedroom when Tom called me late on their bed. Katie. Yeah? I asked, surprised he remembered who I was. Will you miss me? Will you? I asked back, not knowing how to answer his question. Yes, of course I will. I smiled and walked away, anxious by the weird interaction. The next morning I woke up to Mom crying. Tom had died in the night, peacefully, in his sleep. I was sad, but in an abstract way. Tom had never quite been my father, more like a kind landlord who let us live in his house. I'd never called him Dad, never quite felt like his daughter. But Vanessa and Cynthia, they were shattered. They'd lost their mother 3 years earlier. Now they'd lost their father. I assumed they'd stay. Where else would they go? This was their home. Mom was their stepmother. I was their sister. I was wrong. 2 weeks after the funeral, Vanessa and Cynthia sat me down in the living room. Katie, we need to talk to you, Cynthia said. She was 18 now, legally an adult. Vanessa was 16. We're moving to Arizona, to live with our Aunt Marta, our mom's sister. I stared at them. What? Why? Because we can't stay here, Vanessa said quietly. This house, it's full of ghosts. And your mom? She stopped. What about my mom? Cynthia and Vanessa exchanged looks. Nothing. We talked to Aunt Marta. She thinks it's better if we go. But you're my sisters, I said, voice breaking. You can't just leave. Katie, please don't go. Vanessa looked away. We have to. I'm sorry. They left 2 weeks later. I helped them pack, stood in the driveway as their aunt's car pulled away, watched them disappear. And then it was just me and Mom in that big house, alone. Mom did struggle after Tom died. Not visibly, not in ways that most people would notice. But I noticed. The way she'd stare at nothing for hours. The way she'd forget to make dinner. The way she'd snap at me over small things, then cry and apologize. She wasn't abusive or neglectful. But she wasn't fully present either. She was drowning, and I was too young to save her. I found out later, years later, that Vanessa and Cynthia had considered staying. They'd talked about it, debated it. But my mom was not mentally stable, and even more after Tom died. Forgetting to buy groceries, staying in bed all day. So they'd decided that staying in a house with Diane, who was falling apart, wasn't healthy for them. They'd chosen themselves, and I didn't blame them. But it hurt anyway. I grew up watching my sisters from a distance. I'd stalk their social media, Facebook, then Instagram. I'd see Vanessa's posts about nursing school, then her first job as an ER nurse. I'd see Cynthia's updates about law school, then her career as a corporate attorney. I'd see photos of them together, at holidays, at family gatherings with their aunt and cousins in Arizona. Lives that continued without me. Sometimes they'd send Christmas cards, brief, impersonal. Hope you're well. V and C. Sometimes they'd like my posts, a birthday photo, a graduation announcement. But we never talked, never visited, never bridged the gap that had opened when they left. I went to college, got a degree in graphic design, started a career. I dated, made friends, built a life. But there was always a hollow space where my sisters should have been. I'd introduce myself to people. I have 2 sisters. No, actually, I'm an only child. Sort of. I have 2 stepsisters, but we're not really close. When I was 27, I got a Facebook message from Vanessa. Katie, I know we haven't talked in a long time, and I know I don't have the right to ask this, but I'll be in Chicago next weekend for a nursing conference. Would you want to meet for coffee? I'd really like to see you. There are things I need to say, things I should have said years ago. V. I stared at the message for 3 days, read it over and over. Tried to decide if seeing her would heal something or just reopen old wounds. Finally, I replied, okay, Saturday at 2, there's a coffee shop on Hawthorne. She responded immediately, I'll be there. Saturday at 2 p.m., I walked into the coffee shop, heart pounding. Vanessa was already there, sitting at a corner table. She was 29 now, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked tired but still strong, still the fierce girl who'd defended me on the playground. She stood when she saw me. Katie? Hi. We hugged awkwardly, then sat down. For a few minutes, we made small talk. Her job, my job, the weather, safe, surface-level things. Then Vanessa set down her coffee cup and looked at me directly. Katie, I need to apologize. I need to explain. And I need you to know that I've thought about you every single day since we left. I didn't know what to say, so I just listened. When Cynthia and I moved to Arizona, we told ourselves it was the right thing. That staying with your mom, with Diane, wasn't healthy. That we needed to grieve our parents without being in that house. And those things were true. But Katie, we were 18 and 15, and we'd just lost both our parents, and we didn't know how to take care of ourselves, let alone help raise a 13-year-old. So we left. And we left you. You didn't leave me, I said quietly. You left my mom. No. We left you. Because you were part of that house, part of that life, part of everything we were running from. And Katie, that wasn't fair to you. You didn't ask to be brought into our family. You were 5 years old when your mom started dating our dad. You were just a kid. And I made you feel like you didn't belong. Like you were always on the outside. My throat tightened. I always felt like that. Like I was watching your family from outside a window. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. I know. And I'm so sorry. Because Katie, you were my sister. You are my sister. I was so angry for so long. Angry at my mom for leaving. Angry at my dad for cheating. Angry at your mom for existing. And I took that out on you when you were just a little kid who wanted someone to love her. You stopped bullying me, I said. You protected me. I did. But I never made you feel like you truly belonged. I never told you that I loved you. I never. She stopped, wiping her eyes. When Dad died and we left, I convinced myself it was the right thing. But Katie, for 15 years, I've been haunted by the image of you standing in that driveway, watching us leave. You were 13. You'd just lost the only father figure you'd ever had. And we abandoned you. I was crying now, too. I thought you didn't want me. I thought I was never really your sister. You were always my sister. I just didn't know how to show you. I was drowning in grief, and I made the wrong choice. And then years passed, and it felt too late to reach out. Too much time had gone by. I convinced myself you'd moved on, that you didn't think about us anymore. I never stopped thinking about you, either of you. I'd check your Facebook all the time. I'd see your life and wish I was part of it. Vanessa reached across the table and grabbed my hand. I'm so sorry. For all of it. For bullying you when we were kids. For never making you feel like family. For leaving. For 15 years of silence. Katie, I can't get those years back. But if you'll let me, I want to try now. I want to be your sister. Really be your sister. Why now? I asked. Because I have a son. He's 5, the same age you were when you moved into our house. And Katie, every time I look at him, I think about you. About how small you were. How scared you must have been, moving into a house where 2 girls hated you. How alone you must have felt. And I think about how I treated you, and I'm ashamed. And I realized I couldn't keep carrying this guilt. I had to try to make it right. I squeezed her hand. I don't hate you. I never hated you. You should. But I don't. Vanessa, I just wanted you to see me. To acknowledge that I was your sister. That's all I ever wanted. I see you. I've always seen you. I was just too broken to admit it. We sat there crying in a coffee shop. 2 sisters who'd lost 15 years trying to find their way back to each other. Does Cynthia feel the same way? I asked. Yes. She wanted to come today, but she's in New York for work. Katie, she thinks about you too. We both do. We talk about you. About how we failed you. You didn't fail me. We did. But maybe we can do better now. If you want. I want that, I said. I've always wanted that. Vanessa smiled through tears. Then let's start over. Hi, I'm Vanessa. And you're my little sister, Katie. Little sister. The words I'd been waiting 15 years to hear. Hi, I said, smiling back. I'm Katie, your little sister. 6 months later, I flew to Arizona to visit Vanessa and Cynthia. It was awkward at first. 15 years of distance doesn't disappear overnight, but we tried. We talked about the past, honestly. About Tom, about Patricia, about Diane, about all the ways our blended family had been broken. Cynthia apologized too. I was the oldest. I should have done better. Should have made sure you knew you belonged. We were all just kids, I said, trying to survive. We looked through old photos, pictures from when we all lived together. Christmases, birthdays, random Tuesday dinners. In the photos, we looked like a family, and maybe, in some moments, we were. Vanessa introduced me to her son, Leo. Leo, this is your Aunt Katie, my little sister. He looked at me with big eyes. Little sister? Yes, I've had one for a long time. I just forgot to tell everyone. I want a little sister, he screamed, and everyone laughed. That night, the three of us, Vanessa, Cynthia, and me, sat on Vanessa's back porch drinking wine and talking until 2 a.m. This doesn't fix everything, Cynthia said. We lost a lot of years. No, I agreed. But maybe we can build something new. I'd like that, Vanessa said. She put her arm around me. I'd really like that, little sister. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I truly belonged. It's been 2 years since that coffee shop meeting. Vanessa and I text regularly now. Cynthia and I have video calls every few weeks. I've visited Arizona 3 times. They came to Chicago for my birthday last year. There's still hurt, still gaps that can't be filled. But we're trying. We're showing up for each other in ways we never did before. Last month, Vanessa posted a photo on Instagram, the 3 of us together during my last visit. The caption, "My sisters, better late than never." I commented, "Love you both." She replied, "Love you too, little sister." I'm 29 now. I spent most of my life feeling like an outsider in my own family, but I'm learning that family isn't about perfection. It's not about never making mistakes or never hurting each other. It's about coming back. It's about saying, "I'm sorry." It's about choosing each other, even after years of distance. Vanessa bullied me when I was 5. Then she became my protector. Then she left. And then, 15 years later, she came back and called me little sister. And that's everything I ever wanted. Have you ever felt like an outsider in your own family? Or reconnected with someone after years of distance? Share your story in the comments below. If this story about complicated families, second chances, and finally being seen touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more meaningful stories every day. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring tale. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.